time again for another trip out in the Boston Harbor Islands. Today we're going to go out to Sheep Island, which is beyond this island right here. This is Bumpkin, which has been in several of my videos past, but I haven't done a video yet on Sheep. Sheep is one of the stranger islands in the harbor, and when we get out there I'm going to show you why. We're leaving specifically at low tide, and again, Boston experienced about 10-foot tide, so it can be pretty extreme. Sheep Island is about 2 miles out, so let's do it. Let's get over there and I'll show you what it's all about. We're about halfway out, a little less than halfway out to the island over there. This is how far we are offshore. Give you an idea just how shallow it gets at low tide. Check this out. Watch the oar. This is it, right there. So we could actually be walking to this island. Looks deceiving. Come high tide, add another 10 feet to it, whole different ball game. Anyway, let's keep going. One of the things to be aware of when it's low tide, these rocks, these really big rocks, see how they're dark colored? Well, that's because they're basically underwater, almost completely underwater at high tide. Very hard to see the tops of these. In my video where I took my son camping, there was a situation where a jet skier hit one of these. I mean, look at these things. Hit one of these and wiped out the bottom of his jet ski, and they had to come in with the sea tow company, and the harbor master was here. So this is all really exposed only at low tide. It gives you an idea just how many things are underneath. At high tide it goes basically right up to there. To see this rock right here has a little bit of white on the top. That means it's exposed to the sun. Therefore that one is partially out of the water. So all this under. And these rocks right here only get exposed at low tide. Let's have a look. Yeah, can even be dangerous for a kayak actually. You're not, whoop, see, just scraped it. All right, gotta get out of this rock field. Let's see how close we can get to these birds. You have to be very quiet. Yep, that's it. Ta-da, there it is in the distance. It looks like a little hat sticking up. I'm using a GoPro, so you probably can't see it quite yet, but soon it'll come into focus. Where it's going to get interesting. We're at the top of Bumpkin and we're right at the edge of the shipping lane. This green marker is one of the buoys for it, and over there is a red, and over there in the distance, that's Sheep Island. So I'm gonna have to make a quick run for it across here, avoid as much of these power boats as possible. Let's do it. We've crossed the shooting gallery. It should get a little bit better now. And there is sheep right in front of us. That'll be our next stop. Hear that? Right now, because of low tide, all of this is exposed. Normally it's all underwater. And if you listen, you hear all the birds. This is the hangout for all the seagulls and other seabirds. They don't seem to have any predators. And they do a lot of nesting up there. But that little hump there, that's really what sticks out of the water at high tide. Let's have a look. Oh, that's deep. Oh, that is deep. Right there. It drops so fast. It's like going down off a cliff right there. So where am I? I'm on Sheep Island. Now Sheep Island is one of the smallest islands in Boston Harbor. It's called Sheep Island because once upon a time there were sheep here. The island's gotten smaller since that time. Originally, the island was about 25 acres in size. This goes back to the 1600s, early 1600s, when this island was deeded to the town of Weymouth over there for the purpose of grazing sheep. At 25 acres, for those of you still stubbornly clinging on to the metric system, is about a little over 10 hectares. So 1630s, this island hits the register in the historical sense. To give some perspective, that's about 60 years before the Salem witch trials. So that's a long time ago. One of the special things about living in this part of the United States is just how old it is. Boston, which I'm not sure if you can see right there, that was founded in 1630. So right now we're actually coming into 400 years of history out here. It's really something. So a lot of things have happened here. A lot of times gone by. In the 1800s, Sheep Island was big enough still at that time to have a hunting lodge and facilities like that. Obviously that's all gone now, and now the island is about, I'd say about 3 acres or so. It gets bigger because of the intertidal zone here. Where we're walking really is almost all underwater at high tide. Erosion, currents, wind, pretty much eaten this island up. So there are no more sheep, but lots of birds, lots and lots of birds. So let's take a look. Now we're walking on a bed of shells, and it actually goes pretty deep. I said there are a lot of birds on this island, so this is years and years of harvesting the ocean by the birds, and this is the refuse left over. Really something to see. Tucked in here, you may be able to see something. Scattered here and there are carcasses of dead birds that, for whatever reason, didn't make it, or maybe got into conflict with other birds, I don't know. There is a smell here that is not altogether pleasant, but very real. After all, we're on their turf. Those of you who complained about my squeaky shoes, this is not the squeaky shoes. These are the shells. When I was here in June, this was a big rookery. They were nesting. It was really something to see. They had nest after nest after nest with chicks getting ready to fly off for the first time. The nests are all gone now. Chicks have moved on and doing their thing, but this is where they're born, and this is where they hang out. So next time you're coming to the beach, you see seagulls, ask yourself, where do they actually end up going where they're protected? Well, if they're lucky, they've got one of these islands. I was saying before, not all the birds make it. This is an example of one that didn't. It's picked pretty clean. You know, it started off as a really hot day, but it's really, really beautiful out here with the breeze. That's Peddix Island right here. Sheep Island, ladies and gentlemen. I give you Sheep Island. So here we are going against the current at Sheep, and I want to do a quick circumnavigation of the island for the full effect of what it looks like. All this grass that you see is underwater at high tide. So these gulls are hanging out to see what victuals they can find when the tide moves. We just went around Sheep Island, and now I'm going to head back into shipping lane, back to Bumpkin, and then home. I've had a great time. Hope you did too. If you like these videos, please press like, please subscribe, and if you hit the notification bell, any new videos that I have coming up will come right to you. So until next time, see ya.